Ladies and gentlemen.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, you guys. How you guys doing? You know, we haven't shouted out the people at the tables, you know, the breakfast tables, the dinner tables, and the lunch tables. They've all came and gathered to watch us
we appreciate
review some
you
stuff.
guys.
Yeah.
And, okay, that's enough of that.
Yeah, that was
enough of that.
done to that. You
so-
know what? It was just right now. You know.
Wee.
Okay.
どうしてもっていうなら相手してやるか。まったく派手好きのお前らしいぜ。
So you got
also,
that.
spoiler warning,
Yeah, spoiler.
because we're going to spoil the episodes.
All right. So let's
Okay.
just jump into it.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's just do the first
no
episode.
wasting time.
No, let's just get into it. So first episode, real short and sweet. They just basically Joker shows up. Finally shows back up. That's one thing when I saw him, I was like, cool, they're gonna have him in this
Yeah.
episode.
Took a while.
It took a while. They end up basically gathering all the captains so they could discuss what happened with the previous episode with the bug and all that stuff. So then Joker shows up and tells Shinra like, hey, this is actually happening. You're starting to figure it out. Just keep an eye out. And then he leaves. And that's episode 1.
All right. A little. I'll expand on that a little bit.
Just a little bit.
So, first off, all the captains of all 8 companies go and meet the Emperor of Tokyo.
Yeah.
And they discuss what they're going to do about the Evangelist. And then they decide that they're going to go after it, and they're all going to work together to try and solve this mystery. And everybody goes back home. And Shinra stays behind because he wants to look at the perpetual thermal plant that powers all of Tokyo.
Yep.
And then Joker shows up and he tells him about his brother, Sho, who had supposedly died in a fire and with his mom when Shinra was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But now Joker is saying that his brother is alive and he's actually working under the Evangelist as the general of all of their soldiers. So that kind of throws Shinra for a loop.
Yep.
They all go back home, and he just tells that to Company 8, and that's pretty much the episode. It's
Pretty much
just
the episode.
basically just story building, just backstory, trying to bring some more life into the characters, you know?
Yeah, a little more structure. And
Yeah.
then
A little more diversity.
and that was episode 10, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, pretty much.
In episode 11, they show Shinra, and then it says end credits, and then that episode's over. You know, that's it. No. All right, so episode 11,
Episode 11.
that's actually when the episodes start getting like
Yeah.
pretty damn juicy, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. I would say episode 11 was good. It just it built the world a little bit more. We got to see a little bit of action, but not too much.
Yeah, and then obviously that to me was the first episode that actually had any real filler. In which case they ask him, well, you know what, was that episode 12 or 11 when they asked him about how did Company 8 begin? I thought that was
It was 11.
It was 11.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the filler part where they ask him how did Company 8 start. They tell their backstory, and actually it was relatively short compared to what I thought it was going to be. It was almost nothing, really.
It was just that Obi was a normal firefighter. He wasn't part of the special fire force.
Yeah, it had nothing to do with them. More or less.
And he didn't like the way that so he was attending to a fire, and the fire force company, whoever it was, showed up, and he didn't like the way that they were doing things.
I think it was Company 3. I think it was Company 3.
It might have been Company 3.
Yeah.
And they had 2 infernals that they had to deal with, and they put all of their forces into one because it was worth more points.
Because that one was active and
Yeah,
it was doing bad things throughout this. The town, and so they felt that once they were more active, the captain will give you more points, and that really rubbed Obi the wrong way.
Exactly.
He hated that they're just looking at it like it's just a game rather than these are real people. So Obi ends up meeting
Hinawa.
Sorry,
lieutenant.
the lieutenant. And they end up deciding to break into the house that they were at originally to actually put this inferno out.
Yeah, the one that the Fire Force company left alone.
Dismissed
because
completely.
It wasn't doing anything. It was basically just sitting there.
Yeah.
Minding its own business.
And then that's when they decide they're gonna Obi's gonna just actually make a Fire Force or start a company of himself, and actually more or less is what you guys know now. We're just investigate, and that's what's the catapulted to where it's at now.
Yeah, and then they got their fire cathedral so they could live there, and then Hinawa brought Maki onto the scene,
and
then everybody else kind of joined
later
like
on.
We saw it. I mean,
yep. And then at the end of that episode is when they actually go to investigate Company was 5?
7.
Oh, 7. Excuse me, Company 7. And yeah, that's kind of where the episode ends. They're headed over there, and
they just go over to Company 7 and they meet the captain and his like second, his right hand man, his second in command.
Yep.
And Shinra wanted to challenge him to a duel, but they were interrupted by a fire alarm.
Fire alarm, yep.
And then one of the guys that was in the town in Company 7's jurisdiction went infernal, and the captain of the 7th went and dealt with him, and he was stupid powerful.
Insanely powerful.
He can create flames, but he can also control them. So
that means he's a pyrokinetics of second generation and third generation.
Yeah,
so
like
he's
Shinra
both.
Is just third generation. He can just produce flames.
Yeah.
At a very high rate of speed out of his feet, which will let him fly, but he's not necessarily controlling them to do what he wants.
Exactly.
Where like Maki can control them and turn them into whatever she wants to make.
Yeah, little bubbles and those little creatures that she makes.
Yeah.
So and then
he dealt with that infernal, and that's pretty much it. They started rebuilding the town where it got destroyed from fighting the infernal, because he was very recklessly fighting that guy.
Very much so, and that's common for their town.
Yeah,
apparently.
They were just like, whatever, we'll just rebuild it. Not a big deal.
Yeah, no one died. It's okay. Well,
yeah,
no one
infernal died.
More of the town died.
And then that's episode 11.
That's episode 11, and then so we hop into episode 12, which was the lot better episode out of the 3.
For sure.
But still, all 3 were good. Episode 11, without a doubt, was the first episode I saw with filler. Episode 10 was kind of more like, here's a little more information, so that way when episode 12 hits, you're like, oh, okay, I'm kind of getting a little more information. So the reason why they actually went to that town to investigate Company 7 was actually it kind of said, but not really said.
It kind of said. Basically what it was is they were looking for clues in Company 8's previous fires to the people that in the white hoods, the white robes.
The white robes, yeah.
And they were looking for clues into where they might be or who they might strike next, and
to get the evangelists and all that stuff.
Exactly. And in one of the files, they found a bunch of clues that didn't really add up, and they didn't lead anywhere.
Yeah.
They just kind of stopped. So, but that fire happened in Company 7's jurisdiction.
Yeah.
So they wanted to go investigate, but they didn't want to step on any toes. So they went to go talk to the captain, and here we are. They got interrupted, but here we are now.
Yeah.
So they started rebuilding the town with Company 7's fire force people.
Yeah, and in which case that ends up building their little bond with each other, and they end up building bond with the town people. And
the captain of Company 7 didn't like them originally.
No.
He was not a fan.
I still think he's kind of on them too, you know.
Well, I mean, right now he is.
Right now, yeah. So you fast forward, you end up getting to the point where the captain of Company 7 is like interacting with Shinra, because Shinra ends up going to his God, I don't even know what you would call it. It's not what you.
I mean,
it's not a traditional like
yeah, no, it's
cathedral
not.
or nothing.
But it's not like a house.
No,
like
that's
a base, I guess.
yeah. I guess their base, you would say.
Headquarters. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll just go with headquarters. And so he goes to tell him, hey, my captain, Obi wants to meet you across the way. And so he goes, okay, fine. He ends up leaving, ends up seeing them, and they're discussing about setting more fires to his town. And so he ends up trying to attack them, and then it jumps to a scene immediately to where he's actually chasing them right down the way, close to where his their base is, and in which case you see Obi and Hinawa, excuse me. Hinawa running from him, and they're throwing, he's throwing his fire and everything at him, and they keep telling him, hey, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Etc., etc. You need to listen to what we're saying. And, so it shows a really great fight between them. Company 8 gets all involved. Everyone is trying to stop it. And then you later find out that those people were the people with the white robes, with the evangelists, that they look exactly like them, and they just placed them there and made them say those things so that way he can attack them and not trust Company 8. So
yeah, they were just trying to stir the pot a little bit. Exactly.
So the second in command for Company 7 ends up stopping the captain of Company 7. He ends up passing out, so that he ends up bringing them, and then they're basically tending to his wounds, and how he's laid up on the floor on the bed, and so he says he's going to go to the market to discuss this because Obi and Hinawa, excuse me, sorry, I don't know, I can't not get that guy's name, Hinawa, both say that they were at the market, and you could just go to the marketplace and ask the guy, and the guy's going to corroborate the story. So he takes off to go tell him that. He tells him, hey, you better not leave or there's going to be problems. And in doing so, Shinra asks the second in command, like, hey, basically, how did you guys all start, and how'd you get these wounds and everything? And so he starts telling him some backstory, and it literally gets to a point where an Inferno, who looks like a full-blown conscious Inferno, shows up in the back, when he's remembering everything, and then that's when they literally cut it off and leave you on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, pretty much. It was a good old kick in the gonads right there.
You're right about that. It was a big tease. You wanted to keep going, but they cut it. But it was great. It was a great cut. I give them that, because now I'm like, I can't wait for episode 13.
Exactly. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't really have anything to add.
Yeah.
So keep
watching.
That being said, keep watching.